Welcome to the Retiring Canada podcast, where our mission is to educate and empower you to make the most informed, rational, and productive financial decisions. Hosted by certified financial planner, author, and chartered investment manager Michael Isbister. You'll go behind the scenes to uncover the tips and strategies to help you invest smarter, optimize your retirement income, and reduce the amount of tax you pay. Michael is an investment advisor with Fundamental Wealth, a trade name of Harbourfront Wealth Management, a CERO dealer. And now, here's your host, Michael Isbister.
Hello everyone, and welcome again to the Retiring Canada podcast. In today's episode, we're going to discuss divesting your real estate portfolio in retirement. Specifically, I'm going to chat about the key reasons you may actually want to keep some or all of your properties, the main reasons why you want to sell some or all of your properties, 5 questions to ask yourself to help with the keep or sell decision, my experience owning a rental property, the impact these decisions will have on your retirement success, and lastly, as always, a few action items for you to consider. Many high net worth Canadians at one point in time may have one or even multiple properties other than their primary residence as a way to grow their wealth and diversify their investments. I myself had a rental property here in Saskatoon for approximately 7 years, which I sold for a multitude of reasons back in 2023, which I will get into a little bit in this episode. Today, I want to discuss a few different scenarios I've come across over my near 15 years in this industry and give you some considerations to ponder if you find yourself holding a portfolio of real estate. Whether it be a vacation property you rent out as an Airbnb, a multifamily apartment, single-family dwelling, or commercial real estate. Now, first off, I want to say I think real estate is another fantastic way to diversify your family wealth. Whether it be commercial, residential, or industrial properties, there is no denying that the appreciating values and cash flows make these desirable assets to own. Not to mention that many of these properties are purchased using leverage, which, when markets are good, lends to amplify the growth of the underlying investment, and in this case, real estate. Many of our clients own real estate other than their primary residences, the most common being residential real estate, vacation properties, or the commercial property they operate their business from. In the terms of vacation property, generally speaking, most retirees do not rent these to generate cash flow. Rather, they are a family asset that is held with the intent to pass along to the next generation in many cases. It really is less of an investment and rather a family legacy tool. So, for the sake of today's conversation, we're going to remove the nuances of selling a vacation property. If you want to learn more regarding this topic, I encourage you to go back and listen to episode 3. In that episode, I cover off things like primary residence exemption considerations, tax, and other estate considerations. Okay, so in this episode, let's start off with the discussion with the reasons to keep and hold the real estate asset and potential reasons why you may sell. For starters, the reasons you may want to hold onto your real estate. For those of you in this camp, you have likely seen mostly appreciating assets on your balance sheet. Perhaps some intermittent hiccups with cash flow due to poor tenants, maintenance costs, or major renovations, but by and large, you have had an overall positive experience investing in real estate over time. As you approach retirement, cash flow from these properties are pretty well optimized. Perhaps you have outsourced the management of these properties to a third-party company, or maybe you really enjoy the workload of managing the properties and keeping busy. If you have commercial real estate, perhaps you're in a position where your current or recently sold business still operates out of the location, so it makes sense to hold on to that building for the time being. If you find yourself in this kind of scenario, you likely have other pockets of liquid cash or investments in traditional holdings that give you the flexibility to make other lump sum purchases without refinancing or liquidating a property to come up with lump sum cash needs. Now, for those of you who find yourself in this camp, I understand it. Many of our near and current retirees want to continue to hold some or all of their properties as the workload is manageable and the investment has been fruitful during their wealth creation stage of life. In many cases, there can even be a piece of one's identity attached to a specific property, whether it be your first property, a building you operated your business from, etc., which makes the thought of divesting feel like selling a piece of yourself away. Or perhaps real estate investing is something you have grown to understand and can make sense of, whereas investing in the markets appears to be more complicated or difficult to understand. I work with a number of enterprising families with immense real estate holdings, many of which have been the core wealth generator and set them and their families up for generational wealth in doing so. I'm continually having these conversations with all of our clients who own real estate, as there are a few other things at play here. Specifically, your time. Which leads me to the second half of this discussion: reasons you may want to divest your real estate portfolio. I want to start off with my experience owning residential real estate. Back in 2016, my wife and I purchased a single family detached home with a basement suite. Over the years, we had pretty decent renters, with a handful of absolute nightmare scenarios, which admittedly I should have seen coming. During that time, we also had a number of big bills that came our way, including an asbestos abatement, new windows and doors, and a new air conditioner, to name a few. There were also countless times I can remember getting calls from our renters at what seemed like the most inconvenient times possible. That said, I always considered the rental property like a business, and in order to operate, maintain, and generate a profit, I fully understood that there would be hang-ups along the way. There came a time, though, where the time I was spending on the property started to take away from other aspects of my life, specifically my time. Instead of going to the park on the weekends with my kids, I was landscaping the rental. Instead of a relaxing night with my wife, my headspace was occupied with the latest blunder my renters were pulling me into. Now, in return for this time spent, yes, we did generate cash flow from the property. However, it came to a point where the time spent just no longer made sense for the cash flow we were receiving. And because we only had one rental property, it didn't make sense for us to outsource the property management and give up a significant portion of the cash flow. That would only be leaving us with the hope of capital appreciation and the hope that no big bills would come up in the future. It was at this crossroads of time versus money that my wife and I made the decision to sell the property so I could spend more time with my family and working on my advisory business. While we're not at a point of retiring, the reasoning behind divesting the property, especially residential real estate, can really start to make more and more sense when you want to start simplifying your life, especially as you near retirement. In my opinion, this is a significant decision you have to make before retirement if you have these kinds of properties. Here are some key questions to ask yourself when considering maintaining your properties or divesting them altogether. Number one, do you want to continue to manage your rental business after you retire from your core career? If managing the properties feels more like a hobby than a job, then hey, this could make sense, especially as you transition away from your career into retirement. And if you no longer want to be a landlord, then maybe it's time to offload. Number two, do you enjoy managing the rental business to stay busy, or does it make sense to outsource the property management? This one's simple. If you don't particularly enjoy managing the properties and don't want to sell, ask yourself, do the properties cash flow enough to justify hiring a third-party company to do the heavy lifting for you? Number three, do you have the liquidity to continue to fund your new retirement lifestyle and accommodate potential large maintenance and repair costs that come up during a time when your pre-retirement income is now gone? In other words, now that you've retired from your career or business, do you have the retirement nest egg available to not only fund your retirement, but also cover maintaining the properties, especially if cash flow from the properties is thin. Number 4, is the success of your retirement directly linked to the success of your properties? In other words, are you diversified? As with any asset, we want to ensure we avoid overconcentration in any one asset class, including real estate. Now, some of you will probably disagree with me here, as perhaps you've seen tremendous returns with your real estate. With that said, I still think you should be diversified. Number 5, do you enjoy investing in real estate but would prefer an even more passive, hands-off approach? If so, there are investment solutions available to retail Canadian investors that can ensure your portfolio has some exposure to real estate without the duties of a landlord. At the end of the day, the decision to keep or sell your rental properties is unique to your own personal circumstances. This decision cannot go into a formula and give you an answer. You must ask yourself what makes the most sense for you and your family. Looking at it through a retirement planning lens, we want to ensure that you and your family have a sustainable retirement income for life. And if that does include a portfolio of physical real estate, we accommodate that into our planning. We use all of this available information to optimize your income, reduce your taxes, plan for high tax years in the event of a sale, and make a long-term game plan for CPP and OAS. No one retirement plan is the same. That is why we developed the fundamental retirement plan process to help you sort through all these decisions from both a financial and emotional lens. Okay, so that'll do it for today. Here are your action items for today's episode. First off, if you have a real estate portfolio, take an inventory on how each property is performing in comparison to the market. How is it cash flowing? Are there looming capital expenditures? Do you have debt rolling over? What's your occupancy rate? Do you want to keep it when you retire from your core career? Next up, if you're wanting to keep some or all of your real estate portfolio, how will this decision impact the drawdown on your other investment accounts like your non-registered, RRSP, or RIF accounts? What about your CPP and OAS start dates? How will those be impacted? Lastly, if you're considering divesting your real estate portfolio at or around retirement, you need to start planning today. You want to consider triggering tax in other accounts, delaying certain pensions, spousal RRSP or RRSP contributions to offset tax, staggering the sale of properties, or simply gifting properties. Either way you slice it, this is the kind of decision that needs thoughtful planning well in advance of you actually pulling the trigger and divesting your real estate portfolio. Okay, so that'll do it for today's episode. Make sure you add us on all of our socials, LinkedIn and Facebook. Make sure that you're subscribed to the podcast and leave us a 5-star review if you've been enjoying it. Be sure to sign up for our weekly Retiring Canada newsletter. And hey, when it comes to your retirement, don't take chances. Make a plan so you can retire with confidence.
All comments are of a general nature and should not be relied upon as individual advice. The views and opinions expressed in this commentary may not necessarily reflect those of Harbourfront Wealth Management. While every attempt is made to ensure accuracy, facts and figures are not guaranteed. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing or tax advice. Please seek advice from your accountant regarding anything raised in the content of the podcast regarding your individual tax situation. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.